Guys, in the sweltering heart of Venezuela, a new geopolitical chessboard is being drawn. One that pits Russia's military ambitions against America's long-standing dominance in the Western Hemisphere. At the center of this unfolding drama is a newly constructed Russian-built ammunition factory designed to produce a staggering 70 million rounds annually for the Kalashnikov rifles. The facility, now reportedly operational as of 2025, is more than just a military installation, you see. It's a symbol of shifting global power, a provocation to Washington, and a strategic asset in Moscow's conquest to challenge the US-led world order worldwide, along with ensuring seamless ammunition supply for the Ukrainian war, of course. Now, the story begins in the early 2000s when the Venezuelan president Hugo Chavez, defiant and anti-American, found a kindred spirit in the Kremlin. Seeking to counterbalance the American influence in Latin America, Chavez embraced Moscow, setting the stage for a long-standing alliance. In return, Russia found in Venezuela a gateway into America's backyard, a geopolitical foothold for arms sales, oil investment, and ideological confrontation. Over the past 2 decades, this alliance has matured through the delivery of billions of dollars in military equipment, fighter jets, tanks, and thousands of small arms. Russian oil giant Rosneft entrenched itself in Venezuela's energy sector, securing stakes in the nation sitting on the world's largest proven oil reserves. And now, the relationship deepens with Russia planting a military-industrial seed inside Venezuelan territory. The factory, operational since 2025, is nestled into a high-security zone guarded by both Venezuelan troops and Russian contractors. Its production, 70 million rounds a year. It's far beyond Venezuela's military needs. So who are the bullets for even? Well, sources suggest that this factory is more than a national defense asset. Its real value lies in its export potential to fuel Russia's war machine in Ukraine, bypass sanctions, or even supply weapons to non-state actors and proxies across Latin America, Africa, or the Middle East. Now, one name that keeps coming up, Tren de Aragua, a violent Venezuelan crime syndicate within the international reach. This aligns with Russia's broader military playbook, of course, deploying unconventional tactics, exploiting weak states, and weaponizing alliances to challenge the Western dominance. Russia's move is more than just a tactical push, it's a geopolitical theater. With the US and NATO encroaching on Russia's border in Europe, Moscow is now building influence right in America's backyard. And we're better than Venezuela even. A country just 2,000 miles from the United States shows in economic ruin and isolated from most of the West. For Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, this alliance with Russia is a lifeline. His regime, crippled by hyperinflation, food shortages, and mass immigration, relies heavily on outside support, particularly from Russia, China, and Iran to survive. The ammunition factory provides job, military strength, and crucial revenue from arms export. But it also places Venezuela on a collision course with Washington, which it cannot avoid. The United States has long opposed Maduro's government, calling it an authoritarian regime that tramples democracy. Since 2019, the US has backed opposition leader Juan Guaido as Venezuela's interim president, though their effort has largely stalled. Now, meanwhile, Washington continues to sanction Venezuela's oil company, PDVSA, along with key regime insiders. And now, with Russia expanding its military footprint in the region, US officials are officially ringing the bell. The State Department has warned that Russia's action threatened the Monroe Doctrine. That's a doctrine, a 200-year-old policy opposing foreign interference in the whole of Americas. In response, the US has ramped up military support to Colombia and Guyana, launched joint naval exercises in the Caribbean, and intensified intelligence operations focused on Venezuela, and neighboring countries are watching nervously. Guyana, already embroiled in a territorial dispute with Venezuela over the oil-rich Essequibo region, sees the ammunition plant as a potential catalyst for the conflict. Officials in Georgetown have reportedly urged NATO and the US to pay attention, citing fears of a hybrid invasion, where misinformation, proxy groups, and irregular forces destabilize the region without traditional warfare. Across the Caribbean and South America, the sentiment is of course similar. Russia's and China's deepening involvement could turn Latin America into the next geopolitical fault line, and that's tough. Let's zoom out for a bit. What does Russia really gain here? Now, first, a platform, a physical base to project influence, gather intelligence, and challenge the West in its own hemisphere, much like they did with Russia itself. Second, a workaround. With sanctions destabilizing Russia's access to international markets, the Venezuela plant offers a backdoor to produce and distribute arms. And third, a message, an important one at that. Russia may be bogged down in Ukraine, but it's still a global player, and it's willing to challenge American dominance even close to its home. But this high stakes gamble comes with its own set of risks, of course. Venezuela's infrastructure is crumbling, power outages, poor logistics, and corruption could undermine factory operations. And if Maduro's regime falls or reconciles with the West, Russia's investments could vanish overnight. At home, Russia is already stretched, then sanctions are biting, the war in Ukraine is costly. Can Moscow really sustain a military presence 10 hours away by air? That's a big question. And what about the Venezuelan people? Now, while Maduro welcomes Russian aid, not everyone is on board, of course. Some view this partnership as neo-colonialism, a dangerous bargain that trades sovereignty for survival. There have been scattered protests in Caracas, quickly crushed against foreign influence and military buildup. But the discontent is real, of course. Many Venezuelans want food, jobs, and healthcare, not really foreign-built bullet factories. So as tensions rise, the West is taking a more cautious but coordinated approach. The US is highly unlikely to intervene in Venezuela militarily, but covert operations, intelligence sharing, and regional defense partnerships are of course intensifying. NATO analysts are watching closely. Defense experts warn that if Russia can export arms from Venezuela to rogue actors, it could very well destabilize the region far beyond Latin America. You see, this isn't just about one factory, it's about what it represents. So are we seeing the dawn of a new Cold War in the Western Hemisphere? Well, maybe. Russia's growing ties with Cuba, Nicaragua, and now Venezuela, plus China's deep pocket investments and Iran's involvement in drone and cyber cooperation, well, they suggest a deliberate effort to encircle the United States with unfriendly outposts. But both Russia and Venezuela are standing on shaky grounds. Their economies are battered, their governments face growing dissent, and their ambitions may outpace their capabilities. Still, for now, the ammunition plant hums quietly in Venezuela as a symbol of defiance, desperation, and a fragile balance of global power. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification for more deep dives into global power politics.